and welcome back to Better Than Yesterday. Today I'll be doing another individual video, which it's been a while for me, but I kind of missed actually not being on a video with Michael. I think it's been 3 to 4 weeks since we've filmed one together, and yeah, today I just thought I would talk about self-talk. This is something which can impact you positively or negatively. But firstly, we should become aware that we all talk to ourselves. When you talk to yourself, it can either be in a way which builds you up, gives you confidence, or it can be in a way that breaks you down and tends to trigger anxiety and even cause you to become depressed. So, to get into this topic a little bit further, I was doing some research and I took down some notes, and in doing the research it just showed how there was a lot of professionals that said how important it is to take note of what you say to yourself on a daily basis, because it can become repetitive, either being in a positive or a negative light. Therefore, looking at self talk and the way it affects us, it's critical that we practice being aware of how we are talking to ourselves, and we should ask ourselves, the way that I'm talking to myself now, would I talk to an individual in this way, or is it something that would be claimed to be rude? And if it would be rude, then it means you're not talking to yourself in a good way and you're actually breaking yourself down, and you should immediately stop with that, because it has a very, very big impact on how you feel and on what you do. You know, with the self-talk, I've noticed that whenever I'm positive before a race in the past, I would do a lot better than if I was negative about what the outcome would be. For example, let's say I've prepared for this competition, and it's the night before. Before I go to bed, I think about the race that's going to happen tomorrow, and I tend to realize that this is going to be a difficult race. The competitors might be really good that I'm going to face, or yeah, it's just going to be a difficult one. Then I start to think to myself, did I practice enough? Am I well prepared? Am I even going to do good? This is called the big game mentality, and this means that no matter how you've trained, it means, are you going to show up and do your best, or are you going to succumb to the pressure? So at times when I was doubting myself, when I had these thoughts questioning if I'm fit enough, I actually went and I didn't follow the game plan. I actually ran a different race than what I discussed with my coach. And this is because I allowed myself to have these thoughts where I question myself and question how well prepared I was for that race. But then again, when on nights before a race, when I was positive, when I told myself, you've prepared, you're going to be ready, and you must just focus on your race and race yourself, try to beat your personal best. This is when I did better, because I was solely focusing on what I needed to do in the race, and I was focused on the game plan, and I was able to execute on what I planned to do in that race, whether it is start off slow and finish the race fast, or start off fast, relax midway, and then finish the race fast again. It just depended what style I trained for and what style I was going to compete with. So there's a few tips that I'd like to provide on the topic of stopping a negative self-talk and getting out of that cycle. So number one, you must become aware of what you're saying to yourself, and you must ask yourself that if you were to talk to someone else in this way, would it uplift them, would it offend them, or would it would it affect them in a positive way? So when you realize that you're talking to yourself in a way that would offend someone else, if you were to talk to them like that, you can immediately stop and just tell yourself to think in a more positive way. Secondly is you must challenge your thoughts. You must ask yourself if what I'm saying to myself is true or if it's just something that you've come up with in your head. This can be that, let's say you've made a mistake in a test and you think that because of that one test you're going to fail. So you ask yourself, is this really going to cause me to fail, or is it just going to reduce some of my marks? This can reduce the amount of anxiety you feel waiting for those results. Thirdly, is you have to put your thoughts into perspective. You have to start thinking from not just one direction, but from different, not direction, but one view, but start thinking from different viewpoints. If you look at this from the viewpoint of yourself and you feel that it's limiting yourself, then try and look at it from the perspective of a friend or your mother or someone else. Try and think the way they would think about this certain thing. So it could be on a way on how you can earn money while you're studying. You can either be telling yourself and looking in a way that I don't have enough time. But then if you look from another perspective, you can see that, okay, but here's a few gaps here and there. So I can actually make it work. There's something that I can do to earn a bit of money. This is just one scenario. And the fourth tip would be to stop that thought immediately. Try not to think negatively at all. So when you become aware of your thoughts and the way you're talking to yourself on a daily basis, then it's easier to stop yourself from going into that negative rabbit hole immediately by just stopping what you're thinking about and trying to distract yourself or trying to neutralize the way you're talking to yourself at that moment, or even trying to become more positive. And now I'd like to discuss the benefits that um, positive self-talk can have. This is something that we should all try and practice in our lives. And yes, it's so easy to fall into negative self-talk. It just somehow happens automatically sometimes, but it's more difficult to be positive to ourselves, because I've realized that we tend to be our worst critics, but we should actually be our best supporters. So, positive self talk can improve our self esteem. It can give us more confidence in what we want to do. It can also then reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. So, when you catch yourself in a moment of being anxious for an exam or anxious to meet someone, you can start telling yourself that you're well prepared for that test. You put in the work and you just have to go and do your best in that exam and not think of a failure, or just to be present in that moment. And when you meet someone, you can just tell yourself that you are special and you deserve that person's time. You each deserve each other's time. So that can help you to just reduce that anxiety and be calm. And then another tip would be that, or not a tip, but a benefit that positive self-talk gives you, is it allows you to be more content, and it allows you to calm down and just not be on your toes all the time. It helps you to be present and to be able to communicate better and socialize in a more rewarding way with others. So what tips can I give you to becoming more positive and just talking to yourself in a more positive way? This is by thinking good things about yourself, just by also acknowledging that what you've achieved before, and allowing yourself to celebrate those achievements and not just putting it down. So let's say you got out of bed and you made the bed. You can just praise yourself for doing that, because that's something that requires a bit of effort to do. Thirdly, would be to surround yourself with positive people and positive friends. Try to cut out the negative conversations that you have with yourself and with people around you. Try to like, being realistic. Yes, you have to be realistic, but try to always engage in positive, uplifting conversations and focus on the good in life rather than the bad. And that's also where the practice of gratitude comes in, because gratitude really helps with keeping a positive mindset. Fourthly, this would be the last step that I give you, is to celebrate yourself when you do something good. Allow yourself to be happy for that, and to actually praise yourself for being able to accomplish what you've accomplished. And this is brief tips that I could give you. It's not like really in depth, but if you'd like to get a better perspective on self-talk, you can do some reading. I'll link some articles in the description below. But yeah, so thank you so much if you've made it to the end of this video. I hope it can be beneficial to you, and that you start talking to yourself in a more positive way, and just become aware of how you think on a daily basis, and try and change that if it's too negative. So yeah, that's it from me, Daniel, and much love from here at Better Than Yesterday. Cheers.